Who you gonna call? Welcome to the Wreck My Podcast, where we are again wrecking the 80s with a sequel to a much beloved movie, Ghostbusters 2. I wanted to do something a little bit of a more intimate episode, which is why my co-host from my other podcast, The Chromosome Difference, and probably more well known as my wife, is here. This is Madison.
Hi.
Hello. This is probably your third or fourth time being on the podcast now.
Yeah, I think so.
So people are getting pretty used to you.
Probably.
Yeah, of course. Who are you going to call, Madison?
Ghostbusters.
No, the plumber. The bathroom's broken. Yes, Ghostbusters. So that's what we're doing today. And my name is Jordan. I'm your loyal host, and I am the original Slimer. Just ask my parents.
Nah.
And so we were going to do Footloose.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't really, we didn't have it on DVD, and I thought we did, and it wasn't on any streaming services. And I was like,
just wasn't meant to be.
We can rent it, but we've seen it quite a few times. And then I realized you've never seen the sequel to Ghostbusters, and I saw it years and years ago on a plane, so it wasn't the best viewing experience, and I couldn't remember for the life of me what this movie was about. So I thought, you know what?
You probably blocked it from your memory.
Probably, yeah. It's hard for me to pay attention on planes because I'm a very nervous flyer. So
I meant because the movie was bad.
Oh, that too. Sure, yes. So we decided to check that out last night. So let's get right into it. What are your thoughts overall?
Well, I mean, I really went into it kind of thinking, okay, this isn't going to be good because it's a sequel, and if it's not part of a trilogy, you're kind of like, nah, they were probably just trying to make some money.
Well, it is part of a trilogy now.
Well, you know what I mean, though, like consecutively that they were planning on doing this. But I mean, there was a part in the movie when I turned to you and I was like, I think this is better than the first one. And then very quickly I ate my words.
Yeah, because it was near the beginning, I believe.
It was still at the beginning.
With that being said, are you a fan of the original Ghostbusters?
I didn't grow up watching it, so there's no nostalgia to me watching it growing up, but I mean, I can enjoy it on Halloween or something where you're looking for something kind of funny, and
it's a pretty iconic 80s movie, so you can find a little bit of enjoyment. I will tell you this. So Ghostbusters, I mean, I enjoy the original, but I'm not a huge fan of it or anything. So I give it probably a 6 out of 10 when I rate that. Sure. This one's not far behind. This is a 5.5 out of 10. I did not think this one was that much worse, and I actually thought there were parts I liked better. I thought Bill Murray was actually way funnier, and his gags were way funnier in this one than in the first one. But I found out it's also because in this one, they really tried to dumb down the sexual innuendos because the animated series had become so popular with kids between the first and the second one that they were like, oh, well, a lot of kids are going to be watching this. We need to make it more kid-friendly, and that's probably why I like the gags more, is because I'm very immature, and so it was tailored to kids, which means I'm probably gonna like it. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, overall, this movie wasn't terrible.
No,
it wasn't as iconic of an 80s movie as the original Ghostbusters.
I feel like with most movies, my issue is that I feel like they can cut out 15 minutes of plot. And I feel like that is definitely could be applied. Wow, that was a really poor sentence. That could definitely be applied to the second one.
Yeah, well, I was impressed they got all the original actors and actresses back. Sigourney Weaver, the original 4 Ghostbusters. Rick Moranis came back to reprise his role as Louis Tully. I mean, when I heard of Ghostbusters 2, I always assumed it was this kind of redheaded stepchild where it was we really wanted to do it again. But I mean, I didn't.
So every single sequel?
But it's not, this, they were full force. Everything about this was the same, which is funny in that sense because we'll get into it later in the plot breakdown. But the music was way weird. It was very, very strange music.
Some of it literally sounded like it could have been Spice Girls music.
Yeah, it was pretty much just they took a bunch of hits from the 80s. And this came out in 89, I believe, the year I was born. Woo! So it just sounded like whoever was doing the music in this one was just kind of let's just get a bunch of popular music now and throw it in and have some like weird montages and little dancing numbers and whatnot and everything. And that felt very, very strange. I feel like the original Ghostbusters that Dan Aykroyd wrote was initially supposed to be a lot darker movie than it was, and a lot bigger budget movie, in the sense that he wanted to take place in the future with a bunch of different Ghostbuster teams taking on multiple, like 50 different like super tall monsters, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was near the beginning of the movie in the original script. And so I think Dan Aykroyd really thought of it more as this kind of darker, less comedic film, like a darker film with comedy elements in it, because apparently his family is really into the occult. His grandfather or something like tried to even build certain machines to be able to like tell where spirits are, and I guess like someone in his family was a medium. Like the farm they had was like the place where they would come to speak and have seances and whatnot. So he was like pretty engulfed or engrossed in this idea of what this stuff was. And so I feel like in the first movie you kind of get that vibe that, okay, this is a darker movie with more like there's a lot more at stake, where the second one felt more like bubblegum. It was like,
Sure.
okay, we're literally just doing this for the namesake and to make some money off of it, and it's not. And so I feel like this one felt like it was wrote with that in mind, to be kind of like almost a spoof on itself. So that's where the kind of disconnect is for me there. I still enjoyed it, but it definitely doesn't hold the same value as the classic one from '84. So let's split into a plot breakdown real quick. We'll kind of go through, jump in if I miss anything or something that stood out to you. But so we start off set 5 years after the original, wouldn't you know, just like in real life. 5 years later, we find the scene where there's some Ivan Ooze gooing out of the street. You know Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie? You don't remember the Power Rangers? Did you ever watch the Power Rangers movie? No? Okay, so in the Power Rangers movie, there's this ooey, like, purple stuff, and it would turn the parents, brainwash them pretty much. And that gooey purple stuff in this movie reminded me of that. So that was my first thought. I was like, oh, Power Rangers probably ripped this off from them. But then we see Sigourney Weaver. She has a kid. And we also are introduced back to the Ghostbusters, who have become a novelty. They're doing parties. And I thought this was the most meta part of the movie, is that they were singing their theme song from the first movie at like a birthday party.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just dressing up because there's no more really I didn't really get this logistically, so I guess in 5 years, everyone had forgotten about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, because...
What they say in the movie after they leave the kid's birthday party is he was like, how could this happen? Like, we saved them. And he was like, yeah, in the process, we like destroyed a skyscraper and like did all this damage. Like what am I saying? They sued us for all our money and we lost the business. That's what he says. It's not that they forgot about them. It's that they lost the business.
Okay, so I missed that pivotal plot point, I guess. We were eating ice cream at the beginning, so maybe I was way more into my ice cream than I was in the movie. They are now a novelty act doing birthday parties, and we hear Venkman is on the outs. He's got this weird new show.
World of Psychic.
The World of the Psychic. But they really brought Venkman back into the fold really quick. Like, they made it sound like he was really on the outs with the other Ghostbusters. But when he came back, they were like, hey, what's up, old buddy? And it was like, okay, you made it sound like you guys weren't cool with each other, but whatever. So we find out that Sigourney Weaver's kid had some weird thing happen with the stroller, so she comes to her old friend, the Ghostbusters, to take a look. So they come, they're checking the baby out, seeing if there's anything out of the ordinary. Nothing really pops up to them until they go out to the street and they find there's like a bunch of radioactive, or they realize their readings go off out in the street. So like, there's something under here. While this is taking place, there is a picture of this old looking pirate dude at the museum that Sigourney Weaver's character, or Dana, works at. And so we kind of know this is going to be a plot point, and we find out that this thing is haunted and it takes over one of the other characters who's like head of the museum restoration. So this guy's name is Vigo, and the museum guy is now on Vigo's side. So Vigo's like, I want to be brought back to life. Boom, there you go. That's the plot for that. The Ghostbusters are drilling into the ground where their reading showed. They see a big river of slime, which I thought was really funny because it's a whole bit there where like Ray is getting hoisted down, and then for some reason, or up at top, they're getting hassled, so they have to stop. And he's like, the little monster's like trying to get him, and it's one of those funny moments where he's like, "Give me up, guys! Come on, woo, woo, woo!" And on his way up, he hits a pipe, and that one pipe shuts down all of Manhattan's power. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how the electricity grid works, but
you can't apply logic.
Sure, why not? So with this happening, the Ghostbusters get in trouble, and they're getting sued and taken to court. And now we see Rick Moranis' character make his first appearance. I think his name was Louis Tully. He's their lawyer. Then we move on, and the judge is really mad at them for some reason. This is like a very angry judge, and is yelling at them, and they're found guilty, and he's telling them off. But while he's telling them off, the purple ooze turns into some ghosts. So now this guy who's like, "Ghosts don't exist, you guys are crazy, nothing has ever happened, da-da-da-da-da," proves ghosts exist. The Ghostbusters are back in business because they had to save this courtroom from some ghosts. So now everyone's like, "Oh no, we remember ghosts again. We need the Ghostbusters." So they're able to capitalize on that and bring the business back and everything. And we get a nice little montage with a Slimer cameo. And this is where the songs really start, where it's like, it's a really weird 80s song for a montage for Ghostbusters, but sure, why not? We'll do that. We find out after this that the slime responds to human emotions. We also find out that Egon, I think, had sex with the slime.
Yeah,
they kind of
really
allude to that.
Imply that very
yeah,
much.
I was like, okay, I don't really like where that's going, but sure, why not? I don't think Egon really liked where that was going either, but it happened. So we find out that, yes, the slime responds to emotion, both negative and positive. So positive emotion, it works in your favor. Negative emotion, it kind of goes bad and brings the ghost back and everything. My favorite part is when Venkman and Dana are talking in the apartment next, and she's like, "Oh, do you want me to help put Oscar down? Or can you put him down?" And Bill Murray's like, "Your belly button sticks out too far, your eyes are too far apart, and you're really ugly." And we're both like, "Put him down." I get it.
It's so late. I really got to put him down.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to.
You're short, your belly button sticks out too far, and you're a terrible burden on your poor mother.
That's funny, Bill Murray. You're great. So yeah, we get here the subplot of Dana and Venkman kind of rekindling their relationship that I guess they had a falling out with in between the interim of Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. Now we find out also that the portrait of Vigo, the pirate guy I was talking about earlier, is linked to the slime, wouldn't you know? I mean, that was pretty obvious. There didn't really need to be much telling there for that. But I love how they say so many times that New York has so much negative energy that the slime, that's what it thrives on. Like, New York is just filled with so many jerks and a-holes that, like, that's why this slime has so much power and everything. And I'm like,
right.
They say that so many times throughout the movie. I'm like, man, they're really putting down New York City right now. Like,
I think it's just like one of those like kid cartoon anime things where they just want to tell you why things are happening. Like,
yeah, no,
you know
it makes sense.
They bring it up over and over again because they want you to remember this is why the slime is getting bigger. This is why.
We'll get to the point at the end that cracked me up. But so just get that in your mind now. New York's full of a bunch of jerks, and that's what's given the slime its power. So we have Winston, Egon, and Ray. They go down to try and find where the slime is, like, triangulating to, like, where it's converging on. And Winston falls into the river. And so the first thing Egon and Ray think to do is jump in the river after him. Where I'm like, wait a sec. Is that really the smartest play here? Like, maybe just like walk on the side or go up top and follow it or something. I don't know. I thought that was really weird, but whatever. That was their decision to jump in and swim down the river of slime. And they find out that the slime makes them angry. Again, this is something that's been established. When they come out and they're all covered, they're ready to beat each other up.
Frodo wearing the ring for too long.
Yes, exactly. So they take their clothes off so that they are less angry. But I'm also like, you're still covered in slime, so I don't know if that really did anything. The logistics are just all over in this movie. Like, yeah. I'm like, give me the laws of this world and let's stick to it. But I mean, this is also the world where a giant marshmallow man terrorized the city, but whatnot. So now we're back to the weird music choices. There was another scene with like this weird 80s music choice. And we moved along to the Ghostbusters going to the mayor. They're like, hey, mayor, we found out that the slime is converging at this museum where this haunted painting is. And even though the city is under attack, or like the city has seen some ghosts up to this point, and the Ghostbusters are really kind of big again, the mayor's like, nah, I'm not going to take your word for it. And he's like...
It's not the mayor, it's the mayor's assistant.
The mayor's assistant tells the mayor not to, like the mayor's PR rep. But the mayor knows better, but he's like, I don't want this on my hands. I'm trying to be governor, all that. And the guy who is his PR guy is like, he's in a bunch of movies. And Kurt Fuller, I think is his name.
He's the same guy in everything.
Yeah, he plays the same character in everything. He a sleazeball and almost everything.
We just saw him in Monk.
That's right. He was just in Monk, an episode of Monk. That's so funny. He played like a mayor's assistant.
Same thing.
Yeah, so funny. So... the mayor says no, but the Ghostbusters won't take no for it. So the PR sleazy guy, Kurt Fuller's character, goes, hey, let's go downtown and we'll tell the cops. But instead of taking him downtown, he takes him to an insane asylum and pretty much checks him in there and gets them, what's the word when you put someone in? Committed.
Yeah.
Committed them to it. And in this insane asylum, we find out that Brian Doyle Murray is a psychiatrist, Bill Murray's brother, and you called that like in 2 seconds.
His facial expressions are exactly the same.
But I didn't even notice it until you mentioned, you're like, is that Bill Murray's brother? And then it clicked. I'm like, I didn't know Bill Murray had a brother, but you're right. You're like, his facial expressions are exactly the same. And I looked it up and it was him. Funny that his name is Brian Doyle Murray. I don't know why he throws his middle name in there or what's going on with that. Very, very regal of him, you know. And during this time, Vigo says, hey, I need a baby to be able to come into the new world, reborn. So they decide to get Oscar, Dana's baby. Sigourney Weaver's character is Dana. And during this time, New York City gets under attack by all these other monsters because the slime is getting more powerful. Vigo's time is going to be at New Year's Eve, which is funny because it's a callback to the beginning of the movie in the Bill Murray's show, the world of Psychic or whatever. The dude predicted that the world was going to end on that night. And he was right. The first guy ever to be right about predicting the apocalypse. Good job, guy. I don't think he really believed himself, but, you know, it happened. And my favorite part of the whole montage of New York City being under attack was that this lady was wearing this fur coat, and it came back to life, like these ferrets, and it was, like, trying to attack her, and then it, like, ran off, and I was like, oh, my gosh, this is so ridiculous. But you also called another little cameo in there. We go to the war room where the mayor and the PR rep now are, and the mayor's like, we need the Ghostbusters back, and he didn't know that they got committed. So he's like, where are they? We need to get them out here. And Ben Stein shows up for like 2 seconds and is like, said something to the mayor and like gives him a piece of paper. And you're like, hey, it's that guy. And I'm like, yeah, it's Bueller. And he did the Clear Eyes. You know, I'm like, Ben Stein. That guy's showing up everywhere 28 years ago. Yeah. And so the Ghostbusters are released to fight from the insane asylum, and they come up to a giant building engulfed in placenta. No, it's engulfed in the slime, but it does. It looks like this weird purple placenta building, and I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So they drive home. They try and shoot their little proton packs to get into it, and they can't. And they're like, you know why that is? Again, because New York is full of jerks and negative people, which is giving it its power. So they're saying, we need to find a symbol of hope and positivity. And they decide the Statue of Liberty is that. So they go to the Statue of Liberty, and Bill Murray says the greatest line ever. Makes you wonder, is she naked under that toga? I mean, she's French.
Whether she's naked under that toga. She's French. You know that.
Ridiculous.
I love it. So they decide they're going to slime the Statue of Liberty and play a fun song. I forget what the song was.
It's another upbeat 80s
song or whatever.
Could be a Spice Girls song.
So they fill the whole inside of the Statue of Liberty with the goo, and they play the fun song, and they get a giant Nintendo Entertainment System joystick advantage console thing there. And when they're playing it, the Statue of Liberty kind of starts walking.
Yep.
And that was ridiculous. And they had a parade for them walking. So when they get to shore, there's a parade and a convoy leading them, like the city of New York had time to be lined up on the streets waiting for the Statue of Liberty to come. Like, it just is so ridiculous. But we also see Louis totally suit up. Rick Moranis gets the suit on.
Yep.
Because he's trying to impress Janice, whatever her name is. The
he's trying
receptionist.
To help out.
Yeah, and try to help out, I guess. But I think he's also just trying to get a little bit of the nookie. And so the Statue of Liberty walks through. They get to the big placenta building and break through. So now we have our boss fight. We have the Ghostbusters versus Vigo. And Vigo actually kind of beats the Ghostbusters down for a little bit. And Bill Murray does this whole thing where he's like, yelling at him and making fun of him to get him to stop. And as he's doing that, the people outside are so filled with joy and positivity. And New York has had a 180 shift. And now they're all happy people. They start singing a la Whoville on Christmas morning.
Pretty much.
Or like, I was thinking of another...
At the end of Elf.
Yeah, that's what the other thing I was thinking of. Was the end of Elf. And I'm like, what is going on? So they're singing, and this allows the Ghostbusters to beat Vigo.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, cool. Why not? And in the process of them beating Vigo, Ray gets sprayed with the slime. And so once they're done fighting, he's acting pretty much drunk. Like, he's telling everyone, I love you, man. Like, that was kind of funny. But then the big kicker is they look at the painting that Vigo was in, and it's actually all four of the Ghostbusters in, like, Roman attire.
With the baby.
With the baby and everything, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And then we get the end credits, where we have super weird, more 80s music and dancing and whatnot. And we go, wow. What did I just watch? Where the original Ghostbusters is a classic 80s film, this is a stereotypical 80s film.
Yeah.
It felt very, very strange. And that's the whole movie. Not much consequence to anything.
No.
They never really made you believe Vigo even had the upper hand at any point, really. It just was a lot of mush. It was a lot of... I think Bill Murray really did not like this movie. He goes, it's a lot of slime and not enough Ghostbusters. And it's true. It was a lot of just visual gags. And
I'd agree with that.
Let's throw some cameos. Like, we've had the real Ghostbusters animated series. Let's throw Slimer in there. Let's do this. Let's do that. Bailey, our dog. So yeah, it wasn't a bad movie, but it also just was not that great of a movie either. It was entertaining enough. I agree. I kind of monopolized that whole plot breakdown. Was there anything else in there that you thought was kind of funny or you're like, eh?
No, you did. Yeah, you did a good job.
I wanted to go through it pretty quick because I didn't want to I do bad with plot breakdowns because I get caught up on a lot of really minor things.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you just got to be like, okay, they got beat. Okay, they won.
Yeah,
okay,
they're
boom, boom, boom. Roll credits. They're done. Now, I got some fun facts for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about some fun facts real quick because I'm shooting for under 30 minutes on this episode.
You better do rapid fire.
This is going to be the shortest episode ever on the Wreck My podcast. All right. So here's my first fun fact. So Oscar, the baby, was played by two kids. They switched them out, and they're actually the nephews of John Denver. Do you know who John Denver is? So he's a singer. Leaving on a Jet Plane, I believe, is one of his songs. I know that my parents and all their friends from Colorado really love John Denver. He was, like, I think in the 60s and 70s, like a pretty popular kind of like, not rock, but like that alternative rock style back then. I don't really know much of his stuff, but that was interesting that they were related to someone like that. So Egon says for the first time ever, uses the word proton packs in this movie. They were never referred to as proton packs in the original Ghostbusters movie.
They were packs of proton before?
They were packs of proton, the Pack Day Proton. Yeah, no, I guess like on the toys, they said like with proton packs, but in the movies it was never established that's what they were called. So the ghosts, as I mentioned before, the ghosts and the mannerisms of the Ghostbusters were given a more kid-friendly makeover because of the popularity of the animated series, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought Bill Murray had some fun zingers in there, you know. And so Vigo was played by someone, I forget who it was, but Max von Sydow dubbed all the lines. And people who are younger will know him as that one guy from Star Wars The Force Awakens who was in it for one scene at the beginning and handed Poe Dameron that thing.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a big actor. He plays a lot of like the Shakespearean type stuff, like epic roles and all that. Yeah. But he was. I was surprised that he dubbed the lines for this movie. I thought that was pretty cool. Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son. Ivan Reitman's the director. Jason Reitman is the little snot-nosed kid at the beginning at the birthday party. He goes, "My dad thinks you guys are full of crap." So that's his son. And then also his daughter, when Egon was doing the happy test at the beginning, like the relationship test, the little girl that they gave the bear to, whatever, that was the director's... Puppy. Yeah, the puppy, that's what it was. That was the director's daughter. So his kids... And that's Jason Reitman is a pretty big director now. He did Juno back quite a few years ago, and then...
In 2010?
And then Up in the Air with George Clooney, I think he did as well. That one. Yeah, that was a pretty good movie. Remember the dock supervisor when they were like, the Titanic's here, and they're like, better late than never, whatever. That's Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong. Oh. I did not recognize him.
Me neither.
Like, we see him twice in the movie, and neither time did I go, "Hey, it's Cheech," you know. So that was kind of random to find that out. And so that weird end credit scene where I'm talking about they're like dancing and doing weird things. All that footage was pulled from scenes that were cut. So that was all actual footage that was filmed for the movie and was cut, and then they put it in, which I'm like, no wonder they cut it. Every scene was them doing like weird goofball. Like I was like, was it cut because it was a blooper reel type thing? You know,
maybe.
Like they were ad-libbing and improvising, and they just kind of went way too far, and they're like, let's reel it in, guys. I know SNL and everything, but let's reel it in. Did you know that Venkman, Bill Murray's character, was written for John Belushi?
No, but that's not shocking.
Yes, but he died before they could film it.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer. So then they had to pull in some more SNL customers. It was supposed to be John Belushi.
Dan Aykroyd?
No. John Belushi, Eddie Murphy, and there was one other big famous guy from back then.
Oh, that's
and those three were supposed to be in it. Which makes me think, was Eddie Murphy supposed to be Ernie Hudson's character, or is that just me being racist? Like, I don't know, because they only mentioned 3 characters, so I'm like... Were they supposed to be the 3 main? Because let's be honest, Winston's kind of just like an afterthought. Like, you know, he's there, but he's not really that prominent of a role. They tried to give him more lines in this one and everything. But that's why I'm like, which one would Eddie Murphy have played? Would he have been? Because
he could have played any of them. They never referred to each other's race.
That's true. But Egon was the nerdier guy. Ray was kind of the more like into his work, but not as nerdy, more like outgoing. And then Venkman was kind of the douchey one. And John Belushi was supposed to play Venkman. And then I was like, I can't remember who the third guy was, which would probably help me figure out who was going to be who.
Well, they're actors. They're supposed to act like anything.
No, they don't.
Eddie Murphy plays a nerdy character in The Nutty Professor.
Oh, you're right, The Nutty Professor. What happened to Eddie Murphy? He hasn't done a good movie in forever. Or has he just been doing indie stuff that I'm not aware of?
I'm not sure.
People, come on. Tell me if he's doing some indie stuff I'm unaware of, because I miss Eddie Murphy. I used to love him as a kid. Like, he was great. He made me crack up. I didn't get half the things he said, but he made me crack up.
He was very animated.
Oh, he's so animated and all over the place. I love it. So that's Ghostbusters 2. The second one.
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters. Yeah, and I found out that we own the Ghostbusters reboot, and I didn't even know we owned that. So maybe one day...
It was like the U2 album. It was bad, but they just downloaded it.
Seriously, though, I'm like, well, it's on my iTunes. I didn't buy it. I don't know how it got here, but sure, why not? So maybe one day when we have literally have nothing left in the world to watch, maybe we'll watch the Ghostbusters reboot.
Can't be any worse than this one we just watched.
I think it could be worse. I think I could easily give that one a 2 out of 10.
The special effects enough would probably make it better.
I don't know. Isn't What's-Her-Face in it that you really like from Bridesmaids? Kristen
Wiig?
Yeah, Kristen Wiig, isn't she?
I'm not sure.
I think she's in it.
I didn't even pay attention.
I'm pretty sure she's in it. All right, so let's plug this up since that was a nice short episode for everyone. Probably didn't give anyone any extra...
You got a minute left?
Oh, no. I can cut out some stuff at the beginning. Let's cut some of me talking out. I probably didn't give any big Ghostbusters fans anything they didn't know, but hey, you got to listen to me talk real fast about a movie I watched because we had to stick with the 80s theme, and sometimes you just got to get these episodes done. But we have some fun ones coming up once the 80s is done and everything that we've done already, and that'll be good. So you can find us on Instagram and Twitter with the handle @WreckMyPodcast to keep up with everything we're doing. We are on all major podcasting apps and YouTube, so go check the show notes for more info on any of that. If you like this show, please leave a rating and a review for us on the Apple Podcast app and give us a like and a follow on YouTube. We also have a Patreon, so you can go there and patronize us. There's a bunch of reward tiers that are fun. Everything you donate not only gets you a reward, but helps us raise some money to make some fun changes to the show and update our equipment. We have new proper episodes of the Wreck My Podcast that come out every Wednesday, and episodes of Stoked on This every Monday, where you can hear us talk about what we're excited for that week. And it's a shorter form content if you don't like listening to us talk for an hour usually. Thank you to my guest, my wife. Thank you for watching this movie with me and then talking about it for a half hour, or listening to me talk about it for a half hour and giving me your opinion.
That's what marriage is all about, right?
This is really what marriage is about. You can check us out on our other podcast called The Chromosome Difference, which is way different than this podcast.
Yes.
That
much more back and forth.
Yes, that one. Well, it's also content's way different. It's all about relationship topics and stuff like that. And we give a husband and wife take on it. So that's a lot of fun. So every Tuesday that comes out, that'll be in the show notes. Go check that out as well. And finally, thank you for listening, my loyal listeners. There's so many more of you out there than I ever thought I'd have, and I'm so grateful for you all. And I'm also happy because without you, we would just be a sad group of friends or a sad husband and wife just talking to no one.
Agreed.
All right, babe. Thanks for being here with me tonight.
Thank you.
We're going to go eat some more ice cream and watch a good movie now. All right, bye.
Bye.